Okay, so this will be a quick video on what a typical assignment 1 would look like. So by no means don't copy this and just change a couple things. Do your best to come up with your own, and the projects that go above this will get higher grades, and the projects that are just basically a copy of this will get lower grades. So try not to make it of this very particular example. Okay, so we've got a new project. Let's go ahead and add a source file. We'll create a main.cpp. And I'll go through this kind of quick because most of this is just review. This is just so you have an idea what kind of the scope of a normal assignment 1. So let's do the typical include IOStream, include string, using namespace standard. Okay, so and then let's make a main. This is just kind of the, and we'll have it return 0. Okay, so this all should be fine. Let's make a program about a cat running up a tree. So let's create a struct. Let's make a tree, and then we'll give it one field, one member. We'll have it the number of cats in that tree, and then let's create another struct. Let's have a cat, and then the cat will need a color. Let's say it has some sort of hunger level, so how hungry the cat is. And this is just kind of all arbitrary. I mean, the program doesn't have to be perfect. It's more about understanding how to use these things, strings and floats and structs and functions. And okay, so then let's do Boolean. Let's say if it is in tree. So if the Boolean is true, that means the cat is in a tree. If it's false, then it's not. Okay, so let's just come up with some silly things. Let's say feed cat, and then that'll take in a pointer to a struct. So I said this part's optional, pointers to structs, but for those that want the extra credit, this is probably good to pay attention right here. So we're saying and then so what we're gonna do, well, let's not get carried away here. Let's create all our functions first, and then we'll start filling it in. So we need one that returns something. Let's get the cat color, and then that's gonna take in a cat. And then what other function? Let's do one more function. We'll do we'll put the cat in a tree. So we'll take 2 arguments on this one. We'll take a cat and a tree. Okay. So that should be good. Let's just hit the compile button to make sure we didn't make any syntax errors. Build errors. No. What do we miss? Okay. We'll just have it return an empty string right now. Basically, that error is saying is we weren't returning anything yet. We're saying we're going to return a string, and we weren't returning anything. So that'll just be a temporary fix. We'll fix that later. Okay, and the ran. So first thing, okay, so these are pretty simple functions. Let's just give them some really basic, silly functionality. So let's say feed the cat. So when we feed a cat, we're going to take the cat instance, and then we're going to do dot hunger level, and let's subtract 10 from the hunger level. So that means that when we feed it, it gets less hungry. And then this one's a, so I hope that makes sense of this minus equals operator. Hopefully you've seen that before. That basically means subtract 10 from the current value of it. So it basically looks in the hunger level and it subtracts 10. You could also write this. This would be equivalent if you've never seen this before. You'd be basically writing. It's kind of a shorthand way of doing it. These two would be the exact same, so I'll just put a comment in front of this one, just so you know. But they're the exact same thing. So you're just saying the hunger level is the old hunger level minus 10. Okay, and then this one we'll just take a cat instance dot hunger. Oh, let's see dot color. And all we're going to do is return that. That's kind of a one-line function that doesn't really do much. And then this one we'll say we'll give it one more cat since it's running up the tree. And then with this one, let's say that it's in the tree. So what's going on in here is we're just putting the number of cats in the tree. We're going to increment that, and then we're going to say that particular cat is in tree is true. Okay, so let's make sure we're still compiling. Okay, we're still compiling. Okay, so we've got 3 functions, we've got a couple of structs, we've got some pointers. We're looking good so far. And if anybody wants to type this in so they can kind of follow along, you can pause it here. Here's the first part. Here's the second part. Okay, so let's move on. Let's make this a menu-based program. So one of the things that we'll typically do with a menu-based program is we put it into something called an infinite loop. So we do this. We do while true. And so let's print a menu here. Let's do some couts. We say welcome to the program. And let's give some menu choices. So menu choice 0 will be just if they quit. Menu choice 1 will be to feed the cat. Menu choice 2 will be to show the cat's color. And then menu choice 3 will be to run the cat up the tree. Okay, so what are we missing? We're printing a menu. We need a choice value, so let's do that up here. Let's say int choice, and then let's create a cat struct, call it Garfield. So we've got a struct of a cat, and that particular cat is Garfield. And then let's have a tree, and then that particular tree is a pine tree. Hopefully all that makes sense. If not, if something in there that doesn't make sense, go ahead and review any of the previous videos. So let's give Garfield some things here. Let's say Garfield's color is orange. Let's say his hunger level, he's a hungry cat, he's at 50. Let's do 50.0 because we're using a float. He's currently not in a tree. Let's do something with this pine tree. Let's say pine, and let's say initially the number of cats equals 0. Okay, so I think that's all good. Now we will need to get the input from the user, their menu choice. So we'll have to do a cn then what we do is a cn.ignore. It's just something we have to do. So the actual, this right here is where the actual kind of meat of it happens. This second line is just something we have to do, or else we get an extra character at the end. So now let's go through our choices. So choice is equal to 0, we're going to basically quit the program, and there's a specific way we can do that. So we're running an infinite loop. We're doing while true. While true is always going to evaluate to true. So let's do this. We'll say we're quitting the program. And there's something cool that we can kind of do here. There's something called a break, and it breaks out of a loop. So when we type in break, it breaks out of this while loop, and then it just basically goes to the end of the program. So that's typical with menu programs that you'll see. If they do a quit, you do a break, and then it breaks out of the main loop, and then it'll go to whatever's outside of that loop, and typically there's nothing, so the program will just usually finish. So we've got an if. Let's do an else if. Now if the choice is equal to 1, we'll say that we're feeding the cat. And then we'll call our function that we feed the cat. And then we have to, it's a pointer to a struct, so we have to do the address of Garfield. And remember, this isn't, if you don't want to use pointers, you don't have to. This is for extra credit, but I figured for anybody who wanted the extra credit, here's your chance to kind of follow along and really get as many points as you can early on in the class. Okay, so choice is equal to 2. We'll say that the cat is, and then we won't put an end line. We won't put a new line. Let's just, that way it'll say cat is and then the thing. So let's call that function now. So we'll do a cout, get cat color, and then we'll pass it again an address to a cat. So the address to Garfield. And then now we have to run the cat up the tree. So else if choice is equal to 3. So we now cout. I'll say that we're running the cat up the tree. And we have to call that function run up tree, and then we're going to say run Garfield up the pine tree. Some animal is chasing him. Okay, so no more menu choices. If they typed in a bad choice, typically you'll see this. You'll see an else, kind of catches everything, and then you just say I don't know what to do. Okay, let's make sure we still compile. Maybe, maybe not. Let's see. Okay, so we still compile. So let me go over the logic of the program. I went through that a little quick, but I'm trying to keep the video kind of short. So we have our functions up here. If you don't know what any of these are, watch the previous videos. These are functions. This should satisfy the requirements. We've got multiple functions. I think I only said one, but you know, the more functions, the better. We've got one that returns something. We've got this one that returns a string. We print our menu. We take in the choice value. I should go up a little bit. We have our declarations, and let's say initially the choice is 0 in case something bad happens. This is good just to always give your variables an initial value. So we say choice is 0. So we give Garfield some things. He's an orange cat that has it has a hunger level of 50, and he's currently not in a tree, and that tree currently has no cats. And so this while loop, this runs forever until something breaks out of it. And so that's what we do right here, is if they type in choice 0, it breaks out of that while loop. It's just kind of a get used to seeing it. It's a pretty common thing. It's called just a an infinite loop. And if you just want to run a program forever until you break out of it in a very specific case, this is the typical way you do that. We've got some menu choices. Let's do this. Let's give them a little prompt for their choice. And then so they type in their choice, and then if each choice, basically we're just calling the functions. If you're feeding the cat, we pass the address of Garfield to the feed cat function. Is that what I called it? Okay, that is what I called it. Choice 2, that you see their cat color. Same thing with these. So it's a pretty straightforward program, nothing too crazy. Let's start without debugging, and now let's test our program. So choice 0, we're going to quit. Okay, and then you may have not seen it flashed real quick. It said it was quitting. Let's feed the cat. So we're feeding the cat. It called that function. A more complete program would probably then print out the new hunger level of the cat, but this is just a quick program, so that's okay. We want to know the cat's color. You can see, oh, I forgot a new line there, but you can see that the cat is orange. I should have put a new line. I'll fix that in a second. And then we run the cat up the tree, and then it called that function. And now we cut the program. So where was that? Cat is, let's add another end line. Okay, cat is orange. So it's a little messy. It's not perfect. It was just a quick and dirty thing. So try to put a little more time in your assignments, but that's the basics of it. I'm looking for a program under 100 lines. This one's 78, so maybe add a couple lines here and there. Maybe get it to around 100. Maybe I mean, the lines of code isn't really what I'm looking for. I'm really looking for the requirements and the functionality, because you can eat up a lot of lines of code putting a lot of comments, and you know, if we did stuff like this, all of a sudden we have way more lines of code. So don't get too caught up in the number of lines of code. Just kind of a program that does about this functionality wise. If you put more, I'll definitely take that in consideration in your grade. So if you have a really big program but you make a couple mistakes on that, you know, I'll still consider giving it 100 if I can tell you put a lot of effort into it and you really kind of understand it and get it. Make sure it compiles. That's kind of the base level. Oh, let me go over one more thing. So submitting. So what you'll do is you'll have your little write-up, your text file, your PDF, your Word document, whatever. So take this CPP file, and what you'll actually do is if you want, you can just select all, copy and paste. If it's a single main.cpp, you can, it's up to you. You can paste that right into your Word document, and then I can copy and paste that into my own Visual Studio. Otherwise, if you want to if you know how, you can zip up that main.cpp file and your little report that you're going to write, your couple of paragraphs. But make sure it's that you submit a zip file to Blackboard, and then to submit it, you just basically click the assignments and then assignment number 1, and then it'll have a little button to browse for files. So keep in mind it's due this Saturday at 11:59. So if you have any questions, email me right away. Try to get to working on this right away. What you might want to do is, even if you don't have time to code this, make sure you at least kind of write down in English what you want to do. Write down any structure you want to use. Write down what the program does, any logic. If you get caught up, I'll be pretty much in my office the rest of the week working on other stuff. So email me your project and your code so far if you get stuck somewhere, and I should be able to get to you pretty quickly. So I don't want anybody getting stuck. And if you need to come in, I have office hours on Wednesday. So, but like I said, I'll be there pretty much all week. So if you want to come in with your project and you're having some trouble with it, just send me an email and I'll make sure I'm at my office during that time.